Welcome to Minding My Business. You're going to be super excited today because I have Pranav Dalal with us, who is a GOAT behind some of the most iconic companies like Fidelity Investments, Vistaprint. He has scaled these companies. And let me tell you, it's not easy to get in touch with these people because no one wants to let everyone know who they are. But Pranav has a global staffing company, and it's even more than a staffing company. I actually work with him, and I have to say, Pranav, we just started working together, and I mean, our organic website traffic with our cold outbound email strategy, we're over 9,000 unique visitors a month. So when I tell you the pipeline is piping, it is. So welcome, Pranav.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Danielle.
Yes, I'm so excited
pleasure
to have
be
you
here.
on.
Yeah.
I think what is really interesting today is like there's this weird feeling around like when we talk about offshore talent. It's like an immediate, like someone either had one experience with it and they completely wrote it off. Me, if you could see me raising my hand, that happened to me. Or you just think that like your business couldn't use remote staffing. And how many staff do you have?
Right now, currently over 5,500 full time.
That's insane.
Yeah.
I can't even imagine trying to manage that many people.
I know, right?
But what I think is unique about your company is that it's not like when you think of remote staffing, like you guys are also fractional. So you can, like with our systems right now, we're a PR agency and we use so many different components. Like if I had to staff like we have a pretty robust email marketing system set up with you. Like I think we're doing like 100K cold emails a month. Like we're just crushing it. But if I were to hire all those people, even if they were remote, I mean, we're talking like a team of like at least seven, maybe 10 people. I don't know. You could probably correct me if I'm wrong, but like.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
But instead, like I can work with you guys and it's this fractional piece. So I always say, I feel like I'm a racehorse. And when someone makes me walk, it's painful. I'm like, let's go. I'm always trying to run. And I feel like ever since I linked up with your company, we've been able to run. And it's just been incredible. And I think it's not just because you're remote staffing, because I have other companies that I've worked with as well. I think it's your particular background and what you've done with like Fidelity Investments, Vistaprint, that energy is like going out and you're understanding like the true business constraints that we're facing today. So I want to hear, you have an incredible story with Vistaprint. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
I would love to. Thanks for that setup, by the way. That was it's a privilege to be here. So Vistaprint is a company, obviously everyone knows them. A lot of people have used them, right? And so one of the largest global online printing companies. Well, in around 2016, or maybe even earlier, 2015, I was at a trade show, and the trade show was in Las Vegas, and I was in an elevator. This gentleman was in that elevator with me. His name's Greg, and Greg and I started chatting. We were going to the same, venue, and he said to me basically that his company was looking for a partner, and he wanted to talk to me about that, about their unique vision of how they wanted to grow. And so I was intrigued by that. We sat down, and I immediately said, let's set up a call and a meeting, to come down to San Diego to your offices. The subsidiary is called National Pen. And so in that meeting was all the key executives. And the unique challenge was really how to scale to all 30 million US businesses. If you look at all the small business administration numbers, I mean, there's about 30 million. That was like, wow, that's a huge undertaking.
Yeah, I'm like 30
who
million.
does that, right? And so it was a great discussion. We concluded that we wanted to. We found a specific product that they had that was very unique, and that was a key point of this. Is what do you find that's very unique and compelling, and will get you attention immediately, or essentially, what is your hook? And so we found that product. I saw it and I'm like, okay, well, we're going to use this. It was a pen that could be wrapped like a car wrap or a bus wrap. And we immediately decided on a plan where we do custom designs for every business. put it on these pens, and then send them out, individually one by one. Well, that was a lot harder to do than it sounded. I mean, we had to test run, different design concepts, figure out how to train literally hundreds and hundreds of artists in India, which is where it was most cost effective. I had to fly there when the tests were not going well, and we had this concept of just taking good designs and basically testing the artists, of putting up flashboards and flashcards to get them to understand what was good and what was bad. And eventually we were able to settle on hundreds of artists that understood theoretically what we were looking for.
Which I'm just going to pause right there, because
Sure.
that is a gem. And I've used this framework for hiring people in general, because it's really hard to have someone, it's like, they're like, yeah, I know how to do this. I know how to do this. I know what's good, where I can show them, like when we're hiring for our agency, like, tell me, is this a good pitch or a bad pitch? Is this good or is it bad?
Right.
And so that's actually a really unique way of weeding people out. And we even did that recently with like our video editor, who's been like crushing it because he can just do this on his own. But we found him through doing those sort of tests, like tell me a good design, tell me a bad one. But it was like video editing.
Yeah.
But I think even in general, like hiring is such a, like, oh, you make the wrong hire. It is like brutal, as you know, like it's it can break culture. It can take you down, especially if you're located in California or New York. But that is like one of the things. So I just wanted to interrupt you, is like, when you're thinking about scaling, you're going to need team, and being able to have someone that aligns with your vision and what that looks like. So if you're a product-based company or SaaS company, or honestly, whatever kind of company you are, like testing people in that way, I think is really helpful. So I'm going to let you continue, but I wanted to make sure that the audience grabbed that gem, because it's one of those just small things that can make a huge difference.
Definitely. And in this example, there was a lot of money on the line, a lot of careers on the line, right? Because they were staking a lot of money behind this. And so, but as you said in the intro, I mean, it was in our DNA. It was in my DNA of how do you scale, and how do you scale in unique ways? And that's what really is the DNA of my company, because it's not just about providing a remote staff to do a job. We're also engaging with clients on how to scale and, unique ways. And I personally engage with select clients on how to do that. And so, this, including yourself, and love you guys and your team. And so with that, we were able to, like I said, get all of these, probably nearly 500 artists, to design in a way where it would resonate with a U.S. market, with U.S. business owners, so that they would buy. And that was the key. This was an extreme proliferation of marketing throughout the whole country. I mean, it was incredible. But then it's all the tracking behind it. I mean, all of the results and the return on investment, which all of that was done by, our client. But we were able to prove this model out, and it worked. And it took us a good 6 months to really figure it out. And so part of that is the fortitude of our clients to stick with it. If they have that vision, they believe in it. Don't give up on it too soon, because it can work, but you just have to find the solutions, because those solutions aren't in some handbook. Like we literally had to come up with ideas, and I did, and, flew to India and spent weeks upon weeks, working out the solution. And the dividends were essentially that the company, National Pen, was bought by Vistaprint. They've scaled significantly. They've been able to grow in ways that they were hoping to do. And we were part of that, trajectory. And I was very proud of that, and that was one of the stories that I talk about often in some of the seminars that I do.
Yeah. And that's where I had come across your story, and I was just like, I was so inspired. Pranav came and spoke at the entrepreneurs organization that I'm part of. And I was just the idea of it. And I was like, okay, we could do this, because it's so, you hear of all these companies scaling today, but if you're, a more established business, or you're in a unique industry like myself, like I always say, we're like our publicists are like surgeons, and it's like you can take them out of school and train them how to do it, but that takes time. And if you take a surgeon who already knows what they're doing and we do it so uniquely, it's like breaking those old habits. So it's our company isn't, we're not always built just to scale as fast as some other companies. And I think you run into that with a lot of your clients, but that's something that because you have these like fractional groupings and that you've done this yourself, like I really feel like it's something like if you're a business owner or you're a founder, like you can actually scale like honestly, if get on Pranav's good side. Tip number 1.
I thought I only had a good side.
No, because that's true. They're only good sides.
Yeah.
No, tip number 1, become friends with Pranav.
Yes. I love having friends.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I feel like with Office Beacon, it's possible. Like scaling is truly possible regardless of what your business is. And I think that when companies go off and they just hire remote staff, it's like, you would think that I have a remote staffing company because I talk about this so much, but I'm like, no, you can't just like go off and hire a social media manager. You cannot, and then they're like, oh, they're not getting me results. And I'm like, well, yeah, because like you're hiring for the wrong position right now. Like there's other components to this and a couple things you need to get into place, but that's something like working with your company that has been so unique. Like I just had a call with my team from your company and I was like, okay, here's what I want to do. And we're going to be able to test it. And if it works, it's going to work really well because what we're already doing works really well. So it's so great that I can take what our unique ability is and have it amplified. Mm-hmm. And you work with other, like what industries do you work with?
Yeah, great question. So we work with over 20 different industries from healthcare, finance, logistics, construction, engineering, media, e-commerce. I mean, you name it, we're out there. But just to go back to a little bit about what you were saying, Danielle, about communicating what you were hoping to achieve, right, out of the program, that is so key. A lot of companies go and hire staff remotely, wherever those remote staff are in the world, but those people don't really understand what the mission is. They don't understand what the goal is. And trust me, when we're told as a company, hey, Danielle and Society 22 is looking to achieve this, it's in our best interest to figure out how to make that happen. And that's in our DNA because we know that if you're growing, we're going to grow with you. And so a lot of our team members have that mindset, and that's not easy to come by. Like that's a DNA of a company. And so I love working on solutions personally, and I'm glad to hear that you've had that experience as well.
Yeah, it's been great. Yeah. I'm always really excited with the team because, like I said, like I feel like the speed to market with testing also is like a short turnaround time. So it's so easy to make small tweaks and see big results. I'm not waiting weeks and weeks and weeks to be like, okay, where's the data? Because we're very data driven. So I like to take a data driven approach with pretty much everything because I tend to be an emotional decision maker and I know that about myself. So I'm like, I need to just look at the data.
Yeah.
But it's been great because we've been like putting out different initiatives and we're testing them quickly. And that's what I like. Like right now it's fast. Everything has to, and I'm telling all my clients this too. I'm like, you don't need to scale. Like everybody's trying to build out their marketing teams right now because that was something that I feel like was just neglected for a long time. And it could be like you have all these brick and mortar businesses and just business, even if they're not brick and mortar, they've been established for a while.
Right.
Like they grew on partnerships, word of mouth, or like the good old days, like the way they used to, but you can't grow like that anymore. And with AI and ChatGPT and everything that's out there, like you need to be coming up in those platforms too, which is your digital presence. Mm-hmm. But when I talk to my clients, I'm like, you need like 5 people. So instead of spending this one salary on someone who like is, you think is going to be, there's not going to be enough time in the day. And you have to really look at your marketing plan, like, and your team is not a single person. And if it is going to be a single person, they need to be able to manage multiple people. And those should be offshore talent. Cause that's where I want my clients spending their money right now. I'm like, put it there.
Right.
So we can go.
Yes.
Especially with our stuff on the press side, because as you know, we get a lot of press.
Yeah.
So it's like you need someone who can take that and run with it and turn it into new content and repurpose it and just keep going. But I think I feel like listeners are probably like, oh, I tried this. Or like, I need it. Like, let's just break down social media. How about that? Because I feel like that is like everybody
Definitely.
needs social media.
Perfect.
So if I were, well, no, I'll share how I broke it down with my team. So I have one main internal person who's she knows art. Like aesthetic wise gets it. She's very creative. She can approve captions. She can, all of that stuff. But offshore, we have video editors. We have social media manager who coordinates everything. And that's what I think people get messed up on too, is like your social media manager should be a coordinator. And if you're going to be doing content, one, it needs to be founder led primarily, regardless of whatever industry you're in. But then it also needs to be like, you need to be producing that content so that your video editor can take it, chop it up, turn it into great video, give it to your social media manager who manages the platforms and gets it all out. And then to back it up even further, like you need to know what your brand is visually so that they can just take those assets. Like you have to think of using offshore talent as like, they are someone who can take something and run with it.
Mm-hmm.
But you kind of got to get at 80% there sometimes. Not always, but like when it comes to social and the creative.
Yeah.
So do you have any tips like for someone, if I came to you and I was like, okay, like my company needs social media. Like this is just, we got to get on top of this.
Yeah, wow, let's unpack that, right? So that's a lot there, So let's just start with your company, Society 22, and I'm going to tell a story about that. Basically, when I was looking for a PR firm, I think a year ago, I interviewed personally at least 10, right? And I was shocked at 9 of them giving me the exact same, literally pitch deck and pricing. Like it was identical. I could not tell one from the other. And then I met you, Danielle, right? I didn't know you before, right?
Right.
And, and I'm like, okay, because she's also in EO, I'm going to like talk to her. You were literally the last person. And what I saw there was something so different than, and I've told you this before, than the other PR agencies, right? And you said it, you're data driven. You showed me exactly how you were, following the data. And I was like, wow, this really resonates to me as a business owner because she understands what's important to me, which is KPI, results, ROI, all of that, where no one else said any of those to me. And so the first thing is you understood your competitive advantage, right? And so when you have that, then you can market that. And so when you talk about social media, before you even get to that, it's like business owners should really understand how they're competing. Because if you're marketing something and not understanding how it's landing with your prospective client, how it's resonating, you're going to be just wasting money. So I usually start there, right?
Point.
Yeah, I start there. I start like, okay, what is your true competitive advantage? And so I saw that immediately with you.
Thank you.
And so now, right, then it's the vision of how to execute. So even backing up it a little bit further, I would never even have offered, this type of service unless I really felt confident we were in the right place to do it. We are in multiple countries, right? And every country has a unique skill set. So India, Philippines, Mexico, South Africa. And South Africa is a place where we're really blowing up with marketing services. But up until a couple of years ago, I would never have dreamt of doing it because we just didn't have the best in class service to do it. So now that we do, we can work with companies like yours to put a plan together. So your vision was actually very true. How are you going to execute this? How are you going to use more people with the resources you have instead of, like you said, just hiring one person to do everything and being limited by that one person?
Right.
Having kind of like, I guess you call it like a hub and spoke. You've got your coordinator, like you said, which is great. The person who can really execute, right?
Yep.
Execute your vision. You've got the vision. You want someone to execute it. That's the key person. Then you can interchange any of the other parts, video editors, copywriters, graphic designers, etc. And based on your particular, needs, wants, tastes, whatever, preferences, that's a great model. And, that's one I would definitely advocate for and one that you're obviously using.
It's been great because we also like our target demographic, our ICP is very specific. So that's what I really love about working with you guys too, is that I can get very targeted. Like we don't just work with anyone and everyone. So if I'm like, and the kind of companies that we want to target at different times are also not like easy to just filter out in LinkedIn.
Yeah.
So it's also like a data problem. But by working with your team, we have been, I mean, honestly, like our site has never gotten that many unique visitors. So
yeah, no, hey, kudos to you. I challenged a lot of PR companies whether they're getting that many. I mean, honestly, and I think you're definitely doing a lot of things right.
Well, I mean, it's definitely been since working with your team. So they're the ones to thank for that. They're doing a great job with that. But and then it's like we get those visitors and then we're converting them because we do have all the other assets too, which I think is.
And then you need to hire more remote staff.
I already do. Can you go break down, like, how would you know what country is best to utilize for which services?
Great question. So again, let me just start, like, for example, India, right? Years ago, we were like the pioneers in remote staffing. We didn't even call it remote staffing back then. It was just outsourcing. But, I had companies who wanted us to do call centers there, and I just turned it down because I knew we would never be able to deliver the type of quality service that customers here would want. And so I didn't want to really dilute our reputation doing that. So we focused on areas like the data processing and graphic design, like graphic design meaning pre-press. It's not really true design. It's more mechanical artwork. Doing things like that things that are highly repetitive in nature, don't need too much judgment and don't need voice communication. So that's what India is great at. So we also do like professional services like accounting and engineering, which they excel at. So we look at it from that perspective. Then about 10 years after that, we had an opportunity, actually it was through Vistaprint and their subsidiary, to take over some operations in the Philippines, which we did, and we expanded that. And then that actually gave us the ability to do different types of servicing, more client facing, not 100% client facing, but really opened it up. And, the Philippines has been really sort of the outsourcing capital of the world for the last 10 years.
Talent from the Philippines.
Yeah.
They love you if you pay them well.
Yes. And so that's really been, flourishing the last 10 years. There's healthcare and other services that are really great from there. So we look at what's sort of naturally available in the country. Mexico is easy because it's a bilingual, like clients who want bilingual Spanish speaking, simply, we'll direct them there to our offices there. But then South Africa is really our latest game changer, which was a couple of years ago. We started there, and it's a very unique country because they've got one of the highest unemployment rates in the world. It's incredible, almost like 30%. They're still suffering from not only apartheid in decades ago, but then they never fully recovered, or even closely to recovery from COVID. So there's and they've got one of the highest literacy rates in the world and educational rates in the world of employees. So you've got like the perfect storm, of highly available talent, and we're growing extremely fast there because we've got incredibly skilled folks there in every area, and they can truly do the front end of anything.
I've worked a couple of your team. I think.
So it's not an easy country to work from. They've still got a lot of things going on in that country, but we've made a big investment. We've got a lot of people there now. And I think the train has left the station. Like we are definitely on a roll. Like we are growing. It's not turning around in any fashion. So I'm so super excited about that.
So do you have physical locations in these countries?
Sorry about that. Yes, we do. And that's a great question because, since COVID, there have also been a huge number of remote staffing companies who have come up, and 99% of them are work from home. And so we do have a hybrid model where we have our own physical building, like huge buildings in these countries. And we do that for a number of reasons, because let me tell you some of the reasons. A lot of our clients want that, like they want the security of an office and teams working together, and the infrastructure security and the reliability of electricity and internet and all that. So they want that. They also don't want someone working at home and hearing sounds in the background. Like honestly, in some of these countries,
or just like a weird,
like
the
animals,
lights dim and they're like, hey.
yeah. So they don't want that, and then the unreliability of internet or electricity as well, and data security. That's a big component. But we also want to be flexible to those customers and employees who we can let them work from home. So we do have a hybrid model, but we continue to invest in infrastructure around the world to provide the highest level of reliability.
I'm just so excited about this. I really cannot encourage people enough to at least just like have a call with your team, because I'm just telling you, like, it really opens, you will feel so confident in the abilities that your company can execute on, especially if you're data driven. Oh my gosh, you're going to love it, because there's so much feedback and stuff that you can do, and it doesn't like break the bank. Like you can actually, because a lot of this stuff, it's like we've wanted to test it before, but I'm like, oh, I don't know if that's sustainable right now with our revenue, or if we even have like, we're always, our team is so focused on like pitching the media, that it's like, even to ask them to do a couple of tasks that are not really like pitching the media is like not really like, not the vibe, that's like,
and what you just said there is so critical. Testing. I can't stress enough my mindset of trying things, right? So if you can do it affordably, like you can with us, you just got to try. Because if just one of those 10 things, like 1 out of 10 hit, it's a game changer for your entire company, right?
100%.
And taking that shot is so critical, right? All the time, like just constantly doing that. And you're right. It's hard to do it here because, cost factor, liability, all sorts of things, especially unfortunately working even in California, it's difficult. So
started with that.
Yeah, let's not start there. Yeah, correct.
And it's fast. That's the other thing that I really like is that, because when I do have something, it's like, I feel like it's like working with AI when you work with offshore talent. Like you need something, boom, it's done.
Yeah.
Like it's there. Like I could just text someone and be like, what is this? And I have an immediate response. And those like filling those gaps and not having to wait is just, that's what keeps the ideas going. And it feels like, okay, this is some momentum. We can really gain some traction here. And I just don't think enough people have really utilized offshore talent because there's such a stigma around it and they've had a bad experience. It's the same thing with PR. People like, they'll come to me and be like, oh, well, I like had the worst experience ever. I'm like, well, I can probably give you a list of reasons why, and they may or may not have to do with the agency you chose. But I think the same thing with this is like, it's so much more. And that's for me, as like, I just think like we deserve that as business owners. We deserve to be able to operate in a larger capacity. We deserve to be able to try things and grow our company and not have like this stress of like, oh, if this doesn't work, like that's going to be it. I used every last dollar. Like, it just feels so great to have these like things that are out there just working for you. And I love the concept too. I think you had mentioned it before when we were talking, is like, you have people that can be working 24 hours practically because you can have them in different time zones. Like you're waking up and work's done. You're, like this, it's just like, it's a whole, and then you combine that with AI, like right now is the time. Like it is the time. Like it is so exciting to see what's happening with companies, and like even what's happening with my company, I'm really excited about it. And I'm like, sky's the limit, and it's like all these things are possible for the first time, I feel like.
Then the ironic part, I don't know if it's ironic, but we eat our own dog food. Like the way that you're describing companies scaling, your company scales, we're doing that for ourselves every day. Like we are testing, we're trying things. It's part of like our daily process of our mindset of thinking, okay, differently and how we can scale. And so we're learning a lot every day, and we're bringing that to our clients too. Like, because we don't want to do things that we know is inherently going to not work. And so we'll bring the process or the technology or the, whatever it is, mindset of doing that. So it's really, I personally look to disrupt my company all the time, like internally, so that we can grow in different ways, and think about like us disrupting ourselves, right? Instead of someone doing that to us. so that we can grow. Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
What are the top positions that you would suggest that someone would implement immediately?
So I believe that anything marketing, right? So there's so many different areas of marketing, but definitely focused if you're, marketing talent is really hard to find. And then there's so many different aspects to it, from branding to, to the social media, digital, paid, etc. Like, it's just like, I mean, I think I've seen some diagrams. It's like 30 or 40 or more, right? So just starting there, I think, are one of the key ones. Inside sales, anything related to sales, which we do a lot of, account management, anything that really touches the customer, right? And it's the closer this activity is to the customer, the more important it is. So you want to look at all those areas, because you want to do more of those, not less of those, especially now where the economy is consumer mindset, business mindset is a little turbulent, right? Because of whatever's going on. I see that, but you don't want to back off that. You want to go bold, you want to go forward and do it in a way where you can afford to do it. And just, that'll get you ahead of the competition for sure, by doing those things.
And the talent is they're so, like you said, they're so educated. I know all of our offshore talent all have degrees. Some of them were teachers before. Some of them, I think, worked at Capital One for 10 years. We have some goats. And I want to give the audience a tip too for training when you do implement offshore talent. So something that I implemented that I know has worked really well is, in the beginning, don't just hand stuff off. Have a conversation verbally, but also record a Loom video or whatever it is, showing them what it is. So you can't give a whole list of things and then they're like, okay, yeah, I get that. Give them something to reference again, because it's a lot of new information. Yeah. English could be a second language to them. But create that and look for people who have already done what it is that you're asking them to do, because they'll bring a lot of value and processes to you as well. But have the conversations and also let them know the why. So the why is really, really important, even small little tasks, because as you continue to work with them year after year, they're going to connect the dots on their own. And I've found with offshore talent especially, they love to run with things. So when they know what it is, they're going to bring you solutions. My right hand, Channy, she has just been such a rock star. She one day had an entire workflow that is so personal to me, built out with SOPs, everything already built out based on what she did. So she was like, this is Danielle's workflow. If she gets this, do this.
Yeah.
If this happens, this. If
That's
she
crazy.
needs to know this about you, you need to make sure if you're not going to be available for an hour, you let her know, all these things. But there's literally it looked like a Candyland chart. It was visual. It was so easy to see, but she did that on her own, but she has a teaching background.
Yeah.
And then she built out her entire company's SOPs. And that's a side that she's not even on. She's not on the fulfillment side, but because she touches it with me so often, she was like, oh, I see a gap here.
Yep.
So, I mean, that kind of stuff can take years to develop.
Yeah.
And just keeping it updated and keeping things flowing. So I really think that when you're hiring offshore talent, give them one, I always say too, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, it's okay to go through a couple before you find the one that is it really jives with you and you're okay, this is it. So don't just do one and then be that didn't work. Don't have that mindset. Just keep going, and it's okay to switch them out. Because when you do find the one, you're gonna be I'm telling you, as an entrepreneur, when you get this offshore talent in the way that I'm talking about, you better tell someone next to you to make sure that you don't run with a million different ideas.
Right.
You're going to think everything is possible.
Yeah.
And you're going to
I'm excited to just see what's happening with your company. Actually,
it's been great.
Yeah. Wow.
But yeah, so that's my tips. Make sure, like I said, okay, so it's verbal and then the why and then recording. You've got to just do little, even if it's hey, this is where this is in this email. Here's how you do this invoice. Right. This is what it is. But give them that so they have something to look back on in the third, fourth, and fifth task until it's second nature. Yeah.
And just to piggyback off that thought, one of the things that I advocate for with a lot of our clients is to always think of the process, not the person. I know it's important to pick the right people for sure. You want the right people doing the right jobs. But for long-term sustainability, there's always going to be turnover. There's always going to be changes in staff. And so you don't want to get slowed down because your process is, dependent on that person.
Yes.
It's really depending on them doing a process that's repeatable or, like you said, has recordings, trainings, SOPs, and that you can plug and play literally the next right person into that role without losing momentum. And so I think that's where I see a lot of clients getting too attached, right, to their remote staff. And it's okay. It's great culture. But, you have to be cognizant of the fact that what happens if that person leaves? Because, it is tendency of human nature to someone to go for another opportunity or changes in their lifestyle or whatever's going on in their life. And my mindset, and that's how I've built my company, to think that way, that I can scale, services in different countries across industries without depending on just very specific people. Like we can replicate this over and over again.
The feeling of codependency is the worst. All of a sudden, I have an anxious attachment style when I think about it.
I know. I think I'm codependent now on Society 22, honestly. Yay! So, yeah.
So, yeah, I can't stress enough. Obviously, I just really hope that the people that are listening to this don't go and try to do it on your own at first, unless you're already you already know what it is. I'm telling you, just have a call with Pranav. You've got to figure this out. It is literally going to change your business. And I just can't drive that home enough. The possibilities are endless. And it has been such an amazing thing for me and our agency to be able to, we just feel so supported, our entire team. And we're an in-person team. So most of us are in person. Mm-hmm. But our team itself feels so supported because they have, and we have a project manager. We have someone that's they're just on top of everything. And it's, my publicists don't have to be I have to make sure they're added to Slack. I have to do these tasks that are not they don't have impact. Doesn't have impact for my publicists to be creating Slack channels and Monday boards and stuff like that when it can just be done by someone else. So that's the kind of mindset that I think that to go into this with is really what could you outsource? Mm-hmm. And it's probably way more than you think.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you some other questions that are not really outsource related.
Sure.
What's a belief you held strongly at the start of your career that you've completely changed your mind about?
I'll be honest. It's that I was good at everything. And so I think every entrepreneur thinks that.
No, we are.
Yes. Some of us still think that. But really, as I progress in my career, progress in the growth of this company, I realize I'm really good at one thing, not everything, And so there's people that are a lot better. I understand a lot of areas for sure. And I understand how it works and how it should work. It doesn't mean I'm really good at managing those areas. And so I have found in my enlightenment that strategy, understanding, what the right opportunities are for the company, competitive advantage, all of that, that's really my go-to. That's where I really excel. And my employees and my management team tell me the same thing. You need to just stick to that. Let us execute. And you do this part. And so, so I think that's something that's been evolving. And I've also had to gain confidence in myself over the last few decades to have that belief in myself that, hey, I'm pretty good at this one thing. Yeah,
that's so true. You can stay in the zone. And it's hard to even know what that is when you're an entrepreneur. Sometimes I feel even myself, it's okay, I've always been really good at marketing. I've always found creative ways to use my energy or just think of new things. And when I do get stuck in the weeds, even though I feel like I'm good there too, I'm not that good.
Right.
And I cause more disruption than is.
Oh, you're telling me. Oh,
I think a belief for me that I held strongly at the start of my journey, and whether it be my career or business, is that I always thought things were going to happen faster than they did. I was always kind of it's not happening yet. Why aren't we bigger? Why isn't this happening? And now I've realized that there's just no substitute for time. And sometimes you just need more time to grow there or do that. And everything happens in divine timing. So I'm a little more peaceful about
Hallelujah.
things.
I definitely believe in that too.
And I've been growing faster since then. So which is interesting.
I love that.
Okay. This is a good question.
Okay.
What is the hardest decision you've ever had to make as a CEO, and how did you navigate it?
So there have been a lot of tough decisions. I think early on in the development of this company, it was extreme price competition. And I'll tell one story that where we had this competitor in India that slashed their prices like 90%. They were doing the exact same thing we were doing. I mean, I was like, how the heck are they doing that? Like, that is like, they're doing it, you know, but it's like, wow, what is going to happen? My customer, my major, like I had customers, but the major one at the time sent me a FedEx letter. I still remember this to this day. They say that, hey, we're terminating our agreement with you. You have
FedEx?
and 90 days. And I think it was all, related to this competitor. And I'm like, okay, Pranav, what are you going to do? Right. And I thought about this. I'm like, okay, I'm going to stand on quality. The fact that we built a business based on strong fundamentals, right? Like, so our pricing is not like crazy outrageous. I think it's very fair. I think our quality.
I think so too. Very fair.
Yeah. And our quality is impeccable. Mm-hmm. So, and I didn't believe that competitor's pricing was sustainable. So I actually didn't respond. I didn't even respond to their letter. I think they were planning or thinking of having like that I would like call, beg, plead, whatever, like, oh yeah, we'll do anything, give you the anything price or whatever. Well, what happened a few days later is they called me and they said, we want to meet you at our offices. So I had to fly from it. I said, okay, I'll come out, and flew from LA to Pittsburgh.
Okay, not a short flight.
No, it's like overnight, whatever. Show up at their office. We're in the boardroom, and I felt like, okay, they're trying to intimidate me, but they came in and said, the one gentleman who was our point of contact, still a great guy and a friend too, by the way, he said to me, so how did you feel when you got that letter? And I said, well, I don't know. How am I supposed to feel? Right? Like, you terminated, and there's really nothing I can do about that because I'm confident with what we do. That one conversation changed everything because I knew now that I did not have to compete on price, because he actually backed down. This is a major corporation, right? Like, wow. Huge. And they were trying to negotiate with a vendor, me, and intimidate me to basically, bring down our price significantly according to that competitor. I didn't do it. And so I firmly believe if you have quality, people will pay for it. You can't be like crazy price, but if it's justifiable and people can understand that point where the price and the quality are really at equilibrium, you're set. And that's really one of the biggest things I ever did. I never really backed down on that, and I believed in what we were doing.
That's really powerful, because those beginning times too, like when you do start doing that, you will dwindle it down. And then all of a sudden you're just compromising left and right. Yeah. It puts an unnecessary strain on you. It's like, good for you. Yeah. I feel like I don't know how I would have handled that, to be honest. It really depends.
Well, I'll tell you from a customer standpoint, you're not the cheapest, but your quality is impeccable. And so, when you're spending money as a business owner, you want to make sure you're getting the results. So for me, I think you definitely took the right approach.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're definitely not the cheapest for sure. But we, again, like with our industry, like results are really important. So I'm like,
incredible results. Like,
that's
off
what
the
I
charts.
focus on.
Yeah.
So that's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm going to see.
I love these questions, by the way.
What's something about your leadership style that people misunderstand?
So I think from the outside, there's a couple of things. One is that I think people think I'm pretty hands-off because it's a very large organization. Yet I have a very, very disciplined way of managing this company. I know I have a very disciplined way of touching base with every department. So that's one thing, is whether I'm disconnected or not. I'm definitely not. Even some of my employees who I don't really talk to in a lot. I think they understand that now. And the second thing I think is, and I'm learning this from my employees, is I didn't realize that they thought I was that inspirational. And so I think just my personal journey, business journey, telling the story, I think now it's coming to light where people didn't understand that before, and they're really it's surprisingly resonating in a very big way. So I'm kind of happy about that.
No, it's so good. That's what I always tell founders too. I'm like, when they come for PR, because some CEOs, the founders are usually a little better about it, but if there's a CEO in place of the company that's not the founder, they'd have a hard time really integrating like a story aspect or wanting to share about themselves. But for leadership, like there's nothing better than your team understanding who you are, why you are the way you are, and like why this mission is so important for you. Because then they are like, okay, I want to be a part of this, versus you're just a person who is like directing things.
Right.
I have another. How do you handle, if you even get it, because it doesn't sound like you do, how do you handle imposter syndrome?
Yeah, I know a lot about imposter syndrome. So, and I had it. And so, I would say probably around 10 or 15 years ago. And look, I came from a family where my dad was sort of the sole breadwinner, worked for, I grew up in Canada, and he worked for the government there. So, it's like social work type of stuff. And so I didn't really grow up in an affluent, it was more middle class, I would say. But we didn't have, I'd say, a lot of stuff. So my company started growing. And then, I moved into a nice house. It wasn't like a mansion, but it was a nice house. And I remember that. I'm like, wow, do I deserve this house? Like, I feel like awkward in here. Like, this is not something I'm used to. And, so the imposter syndrome is basically, do you really deserve this? Like, is this something that, or is it like fake, but ultimately, do you deserve it? I am not a flamboyant person by any means. Like, I don't splurge on like a lot of stuff, but obviously I like to live in a nice house or enjoy nice things or, enjoy things
I'm
with
a splurger.
Oh yeah, and there's nothing wrong, with that. But I definitely felt it, and so I had people around me, close to me, who said, "You deserve it," and so you've worked hard, and that actually helped me because I really had to believe that. I had to believe, wow, I do deserve this. Like I do.
Was it hard for you to like buy a nice car?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Totally.
That's usually what it is.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I don't want to come off as too
right,
pretentious or.
Yeah. And I like to, I don't drive much, but yeah, when I drive, I like to have a nice car or live in a comfortable place because I spend a lot of time at home.
Yeah.
So I think it was definitely something I personally had to overcome. And I'm sure a lot of entrepreneurs do. Yeah.
Tons.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember experiencing it myself, and I still, there's definitely sometimes there's rooms that I'm in that I'm like, oh, do I belong here? But like, it's just because sometimes, being in PR, I do get some really incredible opportunities. So sometimes,
Well, you just brought up something about being in a room. So, when I went to Harvard University 10 years ago, I enrolled in their flagship business program called OPM, which is Owner President Management Program. It's a 3-year program. Yeah, it's incredible. 3 years. I went in there with that same mindset because it's like, wow, you've got like, people like Wolfgang Puck have gone to this program, and like it's like incredible, like just global brands and names, and you're in the class with these people. But going through it, I felt like there's nothing like different about me. Like I really understood that, hey, I'm just like one of them, and same type of strengths, weaknesses, mindset, thinking, same types of concerns and questions. And so I really felt good after that, actually, because I was able to understand that, what I had been doing was, for me, on the right track. That it had all worked out in a way that wasn't that much different than other people.
I think a good tip that I always give is like, if somebody is experiencing imposter syndrome or they're just like having a hard time getting themselves out there, I'm like, you're not putting yourself in enough uncomfortable situations. Mm-hmm. Like just do that. And I'm telling you, whether it's like going to a social event by yourself, whatever it is that's going to make you uncomfortable, just do like little micro steps. And your confidence will soar. Like even people who think that they have social anxiety, whenever I hear that, I'm like, no, you're not doing it enough. Because once you start doing it, that anxiety of what it is or how to like, chat with someone that you don't know, will go away. So I tell my daughters that a lot too. I'm like, this is like, if you're feeling uncomfortable with it, just do it more. It's like difficult
Absolutely.
conversations.
Yeah.
If you don't like to have them, have more little micro ones. And then when you have to
I
have
love
that
that.
big macro conversation that's really uncomfortable, you've already had a lot of practice.
I love that advice.
Well, I
Great
think this
advice.
is a good note to end on. Thank you
Oh.
so much. This was awesome.
Yeah.
And I know it's going to give so much value to the audience. And what is the best way to reach out to you?
If you're interested in Justice Services, just contact us at sales@officebeacon.com. We have a huge team that can help you there. But if you're interested in something that's related to significant business growth and how I may be able to help you with that, I certainly look at those things and see where I have the time to be able to do that.
That's amazing. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you, Danielle.